Discover the incredible life of Shakespeare. A heartwarming bedtime story for grown-ups revealed. Henry stood before his classroom, a world-weary soul with deep lines etched on his forehead. He passionately recounted the tales of Shakespeare, using each word like a brushstroke, painting a picture of life, love, and struggle that transcended time. Yet, as he spoke, he could feel the heavy weight of his own world pressing on him. Pressures from home, the incessant bills, and the heartbreak of a community that seemed lost pushed against him like an unyielding tide. He could see the flickers of boredom in his students' eyes and felt the tug of his wife Lisa's ambitions, dragging him toward dreams beyond the familiar streets of Maplewood. It was during a rare moment of peace, on a rainy Saturday afternoon, that Henry found the dusty collection of Shakespeare's works in his late grandfather's attic. The pages were yellowed and frayed, like the memories they held. He gently opened the book, and a rush of emotion swept over him. These were not just beautiful words. They were reflections of his own family's humble beginnings, tales of struggle, sacrifice, and the relentless fight for dignity. As he dove further into the text, he felt a soothing warmth, a reminder of why he taught in the first place. The beauty and power of words. As the annual Harvest Festival approached, the air buzzed with anticipation. Families would gather for laughter, music, and storytelling. But beneath this cheerful facade lay a growing fear, a whisper that their beloved library might be closed forever. Henry knew that the library was the heartbeat of Maplewood. Without it, the community would lose not just books, but a part of its soul. Watching the festival preparations turn frantic and desperate, Henry's heart raced. He felt it was time to act, to rally the very people he had devoted himself to every day. Before he could solidify his thoughts, Lisa confronted him, her voice sharp yet laced with concern. "Henry, you can't expect to keep fighting for a place that's breaking apart. We need to think about our children's future." Her eyes sliced through his resolve, and her words felt like betrayal intertwined with love. They were at a crossroads, each seeing a different horizon as the tension between them thickened. Voices outside mingled in the background, murmurs of excitement intertwined with whispers of resignation. Faces of community members reflected hardship, each story echoing the struggles Henry had long cherished and admired. How could he create unity among them without losing his family? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As festival night descended, anticipation buzzed in the air, so thick you could slice it with a knife. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow on the gathering crowd. Henry stood nervously backstage, rehearsing the speech that could be their lifeline. Would he rise as a beacon of hope, or would he remain shackled by doubt? This was it. The moment hung heavy in the air. A silent question poised: could Shakespeare's wisdom inspire those yearning for change? As Henry stood backstage, the murmur of the crowd echoed behind him, a sea of familiar faces, each holding the weight of their own worries and dreams. He could feel the energy in the air, a mixture of hope and desperation woven tightly together. A gentle rush of wind blew in from the stage entrance, and for a brief moment, he closed his eyes. The scent of autumn leaves mixed with the distant sound of laughter. It was a comforting reminder of what he was fighting for. Henry, the voice of Claire, the librarian, broke through his thoughts. Her face was flushed with excitement, though worry lingered in her eyes. "You're up next. Remember, they need to believe in something again. You can do this." He nodded, forcing a smile. The truth was, doubt clawed at him, but so did the rush of anticipation. With a deep breath, he stepped into the warm glow of the spotlight. The crowd quieted. All eyes were on him, their faces a mix of anticipation and concern. Henry's heart thundered in his chest. He cleared his throat, clutching his grandfather's book tightly in his hand, the papers slightly crumpling in his grip. "Good evening, everyone," he began, his voice steadier than he felt. "Tonight, we gather for the Harvest Festival, not just to celebrate our crops or the changing season, but to celebrate us, this incredible community of Maplewood." He paused, taking in their hopeful expressions. Shakespeare once wrote about the importance of being true to oneself in the face of adversity. His stories are filled with love, loss, and the unwavering spirit of humanity. Just as he inspired generations, we can find strength in our own narratives. The crowd began to lean forward slightly, a flicker of energy igniting in their eyes. "Our library has stood as a beacon of hope and knowledge," he continued, his voice growing stronger. "It is more than just bricks and books. It is a place where our children dream and our stories intersect. But if we do not stand together, we risk losing everything that binds us." Henry's words hung in the air like a spell, a collective breath held among the people. He glanced at Lisa, who stood at the edge of the crowd, her expression a mixture of pride and concern. He swallowed hard as he sensed the weight of their future resting heavily on his shoulders. "What if we turned this tide?" he urged, gesturing to their surroundings as the lights of the festival flickered against the night sky. "What if tonight we decide to be the change we wish to see? To come together to fight for our library, for our children, to keep the stories alive?" Applause broke out, slowly at first, then rapidly swelling until it echoed like thunder in the air. Henry smiled, feeling a surge of hope rush through him, igniting something deep within. Yet that moment of clarity was fleeting. A shadow crept in the thought of Lisa's disappointed expression if he prompted the community to rally with everything they had. As the celebration continued, he felt a mixture of resolve and fear. The moment had begun, but what if it spiraled into chaos? What if his passion drove a wedge further between him and the very family he sought to protect? With that uncertainty looming over him like an unwelcome specter, he answered the yearning in his heart. He couldn't turn back now. The crowd needed him, and he would lead them, no matter the cost. But as he stepped away from the podium, a sudden unease twisted in his stomach. In his quest to unify a community, would he risk the fragile bonds of his own family? The thought lingered behind him, a storm on the horizon. As the music swelled, Henry had to wonder, would this night mark a turning point, or the beginning of a deeper struggle? The moment Henry left the podium, the applause felt like a wave washing over him, a mix of warmth and adrenaline. But soon, doubts trickled in, a chill piercing through the evening's warmth. He turned away from the stage and towards the gathering crowd, searching for Lisa among the bright smiles and animated laughter. He found her, standing a little apart, arms crossed and concern etched on her face. She was always his anchor, and the dissonance between their thoughts seemed to stretch like an invisible rope threatening to snap. Trying to shake it off, Henry forced himself to step into the vibrant festival atmosphere. Families were gathered around scattered tables, silver plates of food teetering precariously under brightly colored decorations. Children dashed by, laughter bubbling up like soda fizz as they weaved through festival games. The energy was infectious, but a heavy weight still clung to Henry's heart. He approached Lisa, trying to banish the anxiety swirling in his chest. "Hey," he greeted, taking a seat beside her. "What did you think?" "You really got to them out there," she replied, though her tone held an edge of uncertainty. "But I just worry, Henry. What if they don't understand? What if pushing too hard only makes things worse?" He felt that old familiar tug of frustration mixed with fear. "I just wanted them to feel something again, to believe in their community, in us. But at what cost?" She shot back, the worry deepening in her eyes. "We can't afford to alienate our own friends and neighbors. What if they just see you as another politician? Or worse. What's worse than losing our library?" He interrupted, the urgency spilling out of him. Lisa's expression softened, but the uncertainty lingered. "It's not just about the library, Henry. It's about us, our family. I don't want to lose you to this," she said quietly, sighing. He rubbed his forehead, feeling the weight of their future pressing down heavily. He wanted to reach for her, to assure her that he was still there, Still, the man she loved caught between fighting for his community and ensuring their bond stayed intact. Let us just give it time. I'll listen. I promise, he said, hoping to soothe the raw edge of her worry. She nodded but looked unconvinced, glancing back to where the festivities buzzed around them. Suddenly, Claire appeared at their table, her face aglow with enthusiasm. Henry, the people want to hear more from you. They're excited. Can you believe it? She bounced on her heels, an exuberant sparkle in her eyes. A smile tugged at the corners of Henry's mouth, but the nagging uncertainty returned. He felt pulled in two directions: the urge to inspire his community and the need to safeguard his family. Tonight isn't just about the library, Claire continued passionately. It's about hope. We could do a fundraiser, maybe a contest to rally the kids and parents. We could make a real difference. Unable to deny the energy bubbling around them and Claire's infectious smile, Henry glanced at Lisa. Her expression was uncertain, but he could see the twinkle of hope flickering just beneath the surface. What do you think? He asked her, half expecting resistance. She hesitated, then gave a slight nod, softening ever so slightly. As long as you communicate with everyone. Henry turned back to Claire, excitement starting to build. Let us do it. The words hung between them like a spark, igniting the conversation, the plans, the collective hope. But even amidst growing enthusiasm, the weight of impending decisions loomed. The evening promised to catapult them into unfamiliar territory as laughter erupted from the nearby games and the music swelled once more. Henry couldn't shake the feeling that the tide was shifting, but was it toward light or darkness? In that moment, as plans took shape around him, he couldn't help but wonder. Would the community rise to the challenge, or would his ambition cast shadows on the very lives he fought to protect? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden hues across the festival, Henry felt a sense of determination swelling inside him. The concerns about Lisa faded momentarily as he turned to Claire, who was already sketching out ideas for their fundraiser on a napkin. What about a talent show? Claire said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. We could have kids, adults, everyone. People love to showcase what they can do. Henry nodded, picturing the community gathering, their laughter and cheers filling the air. Yes. And we can have local businesses sponsor different acts, maybe even set up a donation booth. The library could use funds, and it'll bring everyone together. Lisa sat quietly, her arms still crossed, but the line of worry on her forehead had softened. Sounds great, she said cautiously. But we need to make sure we're inclusive, not just spotlighting the usual stars. Absolutely, Henry replied, his heart lifting with her support. We want everyone to feel welcome, to participate. This is about unity. As they fleshed out details, the atmosphere began to change around them. People were drawn to their table, curiosity piqued by animated discussions. Families began to gather, eager to share their own ideas and talents, their enthusiasm palpable. Suddenly, a young boy with bright red hair approached, tugging at Henry's shirt. Can I sing? I practice every day. His eyes shone with excitement, and for a moment, the world around them faded as Henry took in the fierce determination in the small childish voice. Of course. Henry smiled, kneeling down to meet his gaze. What's your name? Ethan. The boy shouted, pride spilling from his words. Ethan, you're the first official contestant for our talent show, Henry declared, laughter bubbling from the crowd. Ethan's face lit up, and with the sparkle of youth in his eyes, he bounced away, hollering to his friends, I'm gonna sing. As the festival continued, ideas started flowing like water. From a bake sale to a community mural, the liberation of creativity filled the air, and Henry felt the weight of doubt lift entirely. He was reminded of the bond between the families, the lights of joy mingling in the warm evening breeze. But amid the buzz, Lisa's quiet demeanor remained a concern. He caught her gaze occasionally, seeking the comfort of her reassured smile, yet the flicker of uncertainty lingered in her eyes. Do you really think this can work? She asked softly as they shared a moment away from the crowd. We have to believe it can, right? Henry replied with a hopeful tilt of his head. Together we are stronger. But even as he spoke those words, He wondered if words alone would be enough. Could they truly unite a community deeply rooted in differences, fears, and past conflicts? Would this effort really bring light, or would he unintentionally create a rift among those he hoped to inspire? As night fell, twinkling lights began to flicker above them, casting playful shadows. Henry listened as laughter erupted from the nearby games, but with each echo, a sense of impending challenge gnawed at his heart. "Lisa, I need you to stand with me on this," he said, facing her with intensity. "Your support means everything." "I know, Henry. I just wish you'd see the whole picture. There's a risk," she whispered, her voice almost lost in the distance of cheering children. Henry felt that old wound, fear wrapped tightly with his dreams. "We'll stand together no matter what, okay?" With the sounds of joy swirling around them, a small flicker of hope ignited deep within him. But as the energy of the festival surged higher, another thought loomed: the road ahead would not be easy, and their strength as a family would be tested in ways they hadn't yet imagined. Henry gazed into Lisa's eyes, ready to take that leap of faith. But would he be strong enough to hold on to everything that mattered most as challenges unfolded? As the night deepened, the festival buzz transformed into a symphony of laughter, music, and the soft chatter of families connecting over shared dreams. Henry could see groups of children darting from game to game, their faces painted with bright colors, each laughter a small promise of joy. Yet, beneath the surface of this joyous festivity, he could still feel the weight of Lisa's doubts pressing heavily on his chest. They rejoined the crowd, and Henry took the opportunity to approach the growing throng of locals, vibrant conversations flickering like the lights strung overhead. People crowded around their table, expressing excitement about the talent show. Ideas poured in, each one more imaginative than the last. "We could have a cooking competition," shouted Mrs. Donovan, her apron still dusted with flour from her own baking stand nearby. "What about a storytelling hour?" suggested one of the teenagers, his eyes glinting as he envisioned dramatic recitals under the stars. "Can we have a dance-off?" piped in Ethan, eyes sparkling with ideas just as bright as his hair. Henry beamed at the enthusiasm. "Yes, every idea can help us build this community. Let us write down everything." They began jotting down plans, and for a moment, visions of possible triumphs danced in the air, restoring a warmth that had seemed distant. Yet, as the ideas flowed, Henry caught a glimpse of Lisa standing on the outskirts, arms crossed tightly, battling her own storm of thoughts. Feeling the pull of her concern, he broke away from the group for a moment to find her. "Hey," he said softly, approaching her with a gentle smile. "What's on your mind?" I want to make sure this doesn't become something it shouldn't." Lisa replied, her voice a steady whisper against the backdrop of cheers and applause. "What if we face backlash from those who feel left out? Or what if it creates divisions instead of unity?" Henry felt his heart sink. It wasn't that her fears were unfounded. They had seen the shadows of conflict in their small town before. But the fire within him wouldn't extinguish that easily. "I believe in our ability to make this festival a celebration. Lisa, we can counterbalance any negativity. Let us use this as a chance to listen, to engage with everyone." She looked unsure, and Henry could see the conflict swirling inside her. On one hand, she saw the potential for real change, yet the memories of past experiences lingered like ghostly whispers. "Remember the town meeting last year?" Lisa murmured, pushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "It didn't go well. People left angry." "Yeah," Henry conceded, "but we can do it differently. We're not just showcasing talent. It's about fostering community." "Okay," she replied slowly, the hint of a smile melting her worry just a little. "But we'll need a way to include everyone's voices, all perspectives." "Absolutely. Let us put together a feedback booth at the event," Henry suggested, excitement rushing back into him. "We can create a space where everyone can share what they want to see and how they feel." "Now that's an idea I can support," Lisa said, her expression radiating warmth as she took his hand. Just then, a loud cheer erupted from the festival, drawing their attention back to the crowd. Ethan stood on a makeshift stage, holding a microphone, ready to sing his heart out. The young boy's determination was palpable, and it struck Henry like a beacon of hope. "See?" he told Lisa, glancing toward the stage. "It's already happening. Let us seize this moment." As Ethan belted out a tune, the crowd joined him in applause, sharing a collective joy that warmed Henry's heart. He squeezed Lisa's hand, grateful for her willingness to stand beside him, for the hope in her eyes, and for the possibility that their community could be stitched together through the threads of creativity and understanding. But as the music played on, a lurking question, one that had begun to haunt him, started to whisper at the edges of his mind. Would those threads hold strong enough to withstand the storms that were sure to come? Henry took a deep breath, ready to dive deeper into this journey. The challenge lay ahead, and nothing would stop him from turning this dream into a reality, if only he could maintain the trust of those he cherished most. As the last notes of Ethan's song faded into the night, the crowd erupted into applause, a wave of sound that rolled through the festival like an electric current. Henry felt a rush of adrenaline, the kind that came from being part of something bigger than himself. "Look at them," he exclaimed to Lisa, who had also turned her gaze toward the stage, her earlier worries momentarily lightened by the magic in the air. "Yeah, he's great," she laughed, the sound mingling with the cheers around them, an unexpected melody of hope breaking forth. Yet, as Ethan took a bow, Henry's gaze skimmed over the crowd. In the excitement, he could sense a few faces that didn't mirror the joy of others. A couple of older gentlemen stood apart, arms crossed, their expressions unreadable. Was that skepticism he noticed, or was it just the shadows playing tricks on him? "We should introduce some more traditional elements," Lisa suggested suddenly, her brow creasing in thought. "What about bringing in performances that honor our town's heritage? It's important we don't lose sight of who we are." "That is a great idea." Henry felt energized by her passion. "Maybe we can get the local dance troupe or have some folk singers." Lisa nodded, her smile stretching wider as they both began brainstorming with renewed vigor. The festival already had so much potential, each idea sparking more, setting off a chain reaction. Just then, a clap of thunder echoed from above, startling Henry. He broke away from their plans, looking at the sky with concern. "Looks like we might not have much time before the storm hits. Do we need to call it a night?" "No," Lisa responded firmly, shaking her head. "Let us not let a little thunder ruin this. We'll keep working and let people enjoy the moment." Henry felt a swell of admiration for her tenacity. "All right then, let's spread the word about the feedback booth as soon as possible." But as they dove back into planning, they couldn't shake the feeling that with every moment they spent building these dreams, they were also framing their challenges. The warmth of the festival buzz transformed into an undercurrent of tension, an unexpected tension that tugged at Henry's stomach. Ethan returned to his friends, his cheeks flushed from excitement, clutching the microphone with confidence. "Can I sing again?" he urged, eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. The crowd cheered him on, and Henry exchanged a glance with Lisa. Both felt a mix of joy and lingering anxiety. "Maybe we could set up a schedule for performances?" Henry suggested as Ethan sang again, this time a slower, more heartfelt song. Something about the melody felt profound, resonating in Henry's soul. Could help showcase everyone's talent and keep the excitement going. "Absolutely," Lisa agreed, her voice brimming with excitement. "Let us make sure every person feels included." Just as they began drawing new plans, a familiar figure emerged from the gathering crowd. It was Mr. Thompson, a longtime town resident, his expression stern. Henry's heart raced at the sight. The man had a history of vocalizing his dissatisfaction with community events in the past. "Henry," he called, waving him over. The crowd momentarily parted as Henry approached, a ripple of unease washing over him. "Can we have a word?" Henry swallowed hard, remembering past encounters where confrontation had left him disheartened. He glanced at Lisa. She gave him an encouraging nod, her eyes full of faith. "Sure, Mr. Thompson. What's on your mind?" Mr. Thompson's brow furrowed deeper as he spoke, though Henry couldn't quite hear him over the laughter and music. The festival felt vibrant, Yet on this precarious edge where life hummed on one side and the storm brewed on the other, Henry braced himself. Was this conversation about to shatter the joyful spirit they had begun to build? With the festival swirling around him, Henry felt the weight of uncertainty pulling at his heart. Would they manage to unite their community? Or would voices of dissent drown out the hopes of togetherness they de-sparked? As the first drops of rain began to fall, mingling with the laughter, Henry met Mr. Thompson's gaze. It bore possibilities yet to be uncovered, and he couldn't help but feel that everything was riding on this very moment. Henry squared his shoulders, trying to shake off the unease as he focused on Mr. Thompson. The older man's presence felt heavy, as if he carried the weight of years of disappointment. A jagged bolt of lightning illuminated the darkening sky, and the crowd let out a collective gasp, heads turning upward. "Henry," Mr. Thompson began, his voice steady but low, "I appreciate all the hard work you and your team have put into this festival. However, I can't help but notice that it seems different from the years past." Henry's heart sank. "Different how?" he asked, trying to keep his tone even, despite the fluttering nerves in his stomach. Mr. Thompson took a breath, glancing back at the crowd, where the jubilant energy collided with the brewing storm. "We've had tradition, a sense of history. This event isn't just about music and cheer. It carries our town's spirit." Henry bristled inwardly. He understood the importance of tradition, but hadn't they just found a way to harmonize the new with the old? "We're trying to incorporate everyone's voice, Mr. Thompson, to make it more inclusive. Isn't that part of progress?" Mr. Thompson's brow furrowed deeper, and behind him, a few people in the crowd began to murmur, their expressions shifting from enthusiasm to concern. Henry could almost hear the whispers. What was happening? Would the storm wash away the festival? "Progress is necessary, Henry," Mr. Thompson said, "but we can't lose our roots in the name of change. This is our chance to strengthen our community, to remind the younger folks what truly matters." Just as Henry opened his mouth to respond, another crash of thunder struck. It was a stark reminder that time was running out and the storm was a very real threat. A rush of wind swept through the area, affecting the tents and bringing the scent of rain mixed with popcorn and sweet candied apples. Henry felt Lisa move closer, her eyes searching his. She must have sensed the tension too. He turned back to Mr. Thompson, desperation swirling inside. "What do you want, Mr. Thompson? Do you really want to stop progress? To dampen this moment for everyone here? We can work together." The old man studied Henry intently, his gaze penetrating as he weighed the words hanging in the air. After a long moment, he finally said, "You need to listen to the voices that feel unheard. That's where the heart of our community lies." Henry's heart raced, the storm outside mirroring the tempest in his mind. The festival was not just an event. It was a reflection of their values, their identities. What if he was going about this all wrong? Maybe he needed to dig deeper, to connect not only with the youth but with the elders who held the town's traditions close. With a sudden resolve, he nodded. "Thank you for your honesty, Mr. Thompson. I think you're right. Perhaps we can set up some time during the festival to gather those voices, to make sure everyone feels a part of it." A flicker of surprise crossed Mr. Thompson's face, like he hadn't expected such openness. "I'd like that," he said, his voice softening. As if on cue, the rain began to fall, lightly at first, but soon it drummed against the ground, splattering on the festival stalls and drawing the attention of festival goers. Gasps turned to laughter, as a few brave souls began to dance, not minding the rain at all. Henry's heart warmed at the sight, feeling the spirit of the moment shift. "See? Not all change is bad," Lisa said softly, nudging him as they both looked out at the crowd. "Maybe the storm is a chance for a new beginning." Henry smiled, his spirits lifted by the resilience surrounding them. "Maybe you're right, Lisa. It's about blending the good, the old with the new, to create something beautiful." But as the rain poured down, washing away the dust of the past, Henry couldn't shake the feeling that more trials lay ahead. Would this storm clear the way for understanding, or would it further divide the gatherings of hearts? With the festival alive in its chaotic beauty, Henry sensed this was only the beginning of a much larger journey, and he was determined to face whatever came next. Would he find a way to honor both tradition and change, or risk losing everything by trying to please everyone? Henry stood at the edge of the festival grounds, rain soaking him to the bone, yet he felt invigorated by the moment. Each drop seemed to carry with it not just water, but a sense of renewal, washing away the doubts that had shadowed him just moments before. Around him, laughter echoed, and the dancing figures in rain-soaked clothes transformed the chaotic scene into something magical. "Look at them," Lisa exclaimed, her eyes sparkling despite the downpour. "They're embracing it." The energy radiating from the crowd was infectious. With the tension dissipating, Henry felt a rush of inspiration wash over him. Perhaps this festival wouldn't just be a blend of voices, but a celebration of the chaotic beauty of change. He knew he had to seize this moment, not only for the festival but for their town as a whole. Turning to Lisa, he said, "Let us gather everyone. Let us give them a chance to share their stories right here, right now." Without waiting for a reply, he clasped his hands and called out to the crowd, "Hey everyone, we're going to take a moment to hear from you. Your voices matter." First there was a pause. Faces turned to him with a mix of confusion and curiosity. But then, as the beats of lively music oozed from nearby stalls, a murmur of excitement began to grow. One by one, people started to step forward, talking animatedly about their experiences and memories of the festival of this town. Henry's heart raced as the first speaker, an elderly woman with silver hair and bright eyes, shared her childhood days of joy at the festival. She spoke of how her mother would braid ribbons into her hair, and how the scent of candied apples would usher in feelings of warmth and community. Others chimed in, sharing their own recollections, each story weaving a thread into the fabric of their collective history. Amar Thompson stood off to the side, arms crossed, but the lines of his face softened as stories unfolded. With each memory shared, Henry noticed the murmur of acceptance spreading through the crowd. They weren't just voices. They were pieces of their town's heart. As the rain continued to patter, it felt like a blessing. Even the storm had become part of their story. Henry glanced at Lisa, who stood beside him, her face bright with enthusiasm. "We're doing it, aren't we?" she whispered, her voice almost lost in the chorus of voices. "Yes," he replied, the thrill of hope igniting in him. "This is just the beginning." However, just as the collective spirit soared, a deeper rumble of thunder echoed in the distance. The festive atmosphere was punctured by an uneasy silence. Henry's gaze fixed on the sky, where dark clouds curled ominously, hinting at an intensifying storm. "Not again," Henry muttered, trying to keep the fear from his voice. The excitement of connection lay fragile, now under the threat of nature's fury. Could a storm separate their growing unity? Lisa grasped his arm, a reminder of her steadfastness, grounding him. "Let us not lose hope," she urged. "This storm won't dictate our spirit." Just then, the crowd erupted in spontaneous cheers, the elderly woman raising her hands high as she beamed with pride. "If we can weather this rain together, we can weather anything." With that declaration, something in Henry shifted. The storm might rage, but so too could their collective strength. It was time to go further, to dig deeper, to connect each heart and soul entwined in that festival. "Everyone," Henry shouted, determination fueling his voice. "Let us gather under the main tent. We can keep sharing our stories, no matter what." As shouts of agreement rang out and people began to move, he felt the weight of uncertainty lift. Hope thrummed through him, louder than the thunder overhead. The rain fell harder, but so did the laughter. But as Henry plunged into the growing crowd, he couldn't shake the feeling that their unity would soon be put to the ultimate test. What secrets lay in the hearts of those who had remained silent until now? Would they emerge stronger, or would the storm splinter them apart? Henry dashed toward the main tent, the downpour drumming a fierce rhythm around him. People jostled and formed a river of umbrellas and raincoats, moving with purpose. Each step he took felt like a pledge to strengthen the bonds forming in the storm's embrace. He could feel Lisa right beside him, her energy pulsing through the air, and it fueled him further. The tent loomed ahead, its large fabric flapping wildly in the wind, creating a cocoon of warmth that promised refuge. As they entered, laughter and chatter bounced off the walls, a chorus that pushed back against the thunderous roars from above. The atmosphere thickened with excitement, and even the raindrops felt lighter inside. Henry faced the crowd, illuminated by the flickering glow of string lights above. "Thank you for coming under here. Keep the stories flowing," he declared, his voice finding its place among the joyous chaos. The warmth of the collective spirit encircled him, wrapping them all in a shared purpose. Another elder stood up, this time a man with a weather-worn face, eyes full of wisdom. "I remember this festival from way back," he began, his voice carrying through the tent, "when it was just a handful of us. We were young, full of dreams. This rain reminds me of all the storms we faced, both inside us and out here. But every year we came back for the love we shared." Henry felt a pang in his chest. This wasn't just a festival. It was a unifying force. As stories flowed faster, mingling with laughter and the occasional shout, he realized a deeper truth: each person held a piece of the same tapestry, frayed in places, worn thin by challenges, but never broken. Suddenly, a hush fell over the crowd as a young girl stepped forward. Her hair was soaked, and she clutched a stuffed animal like a lifeline. "I never liked the rain," she admitted, her voice small. "But today I saw everybody smiling. I want to share that smile with my friends too. I think the rain is kind of fun." The crowd erupted into cheers, and Henry's heart swelled. It was in moments like this that the barriers between past and present faded, replaced with an undeniable unity. Lisa squeezed his hand, her eyes gleaming with unshed tears. "Look at them, it's beautiful, I senti it." Just then, Mr. Thompson stepped forward, a visible shift in his demeanor. He cleared his throat, eyes scanning the crowd, and for the first time, Henry could see vulnerability etched on his face. "I've hidden behind my silence for too long," he said. "A festival represents joy, but it is the stories that bind us. I lost my wife years ago, and when I stop talking, I stop honoring her memory. This rain reminds me of the love she poured into everything." Henry felt the tension tighten in the air, a multitude of emotions surging around as Mr. Thompson's revelation settled. In a flash, others began to share too. Heartfelt confessions spilled forth, secrets they held close, fears of loss, and bursts of joy. The storm outside intensified, but within the tent, a different kind of storm brewed, a storm of emotions, raw and powerful. Henry felt it knocking at the edges of his heart. The unity, the tales of sorrow and joy, were flooding together. Did the storm that raged above serve to deepen these connections even more? But just as the stories crescendoed, there was a rumble that wasn't thunder, a harsh scraping sound that made everyone pause. A sudden wave of wind rushed through the tent flap, threatening to tear it open. What was that? Someone shouted, eyes wide with fear. Henry's gut twisted. Just as they had brilliantly connected, was there another challenge just around the corner? Would this storm bring them back together, or tear them apart? As he stepped toward the flap, driven by instinct, he felt Lisa's hand on his shoulder. "We'll face whatever comes together," she assured, locking eyes with him. With courage swirling in his chest, he nodded. Together. But what lay beyond that flap? What new trials awaited them outside? Henry pushed aside the tent flap, ready to face whatever was brewing beyond. The moment he stepped out, the intensity of the storm hit him like a slap. Rain pelted the ground, fat droplets splattering against his cheeks like little pearls falling from a necklace that had slipped from a long-forgotten memory. The wind shrieked wildly, as if voicing the collective uncertainty of the town. Yet, even in that chaotic moment, he felt steadied by the warmth of the stories still resonating within him. Behind him in the tent, the air thrummed with connection. "Everyone, stay together," he shouted to the crowd, even as the tempest roared around him. It was a call for unity, a reminder of the safety found in shared experiences. As he surveyed the festival grounds, he noticed Mr. Thompson clinging tightly to one of the tent poles, The old man's face twisted in both fear and resolve. "Henry," he bellowed over the storm, "do you think this storm will wash us away?" "No," Henry replied, feeling a surge of determination. "This storm can't wash away what we've built tonight." He gestured wide to the tent, the glowing light spilling warmth into the darkness like a beacon. "We've shared our stories. It's time to let that strength guide us." Moments later, a crack of lightning illuminated the sky, and with it came a powerful gust. The tent flapped uncertainly, the structure trembling like a witness to the tempest threatening to shake their resolve. A few festival-goers looked uncertain, their earlier excitement beginning to fade with the realization of real danger. "Everyone," Henry coaxed, voice rising above the roar. "The heart of our community is not just in this festival. It's in all of you. Let us get to the barn. We can keep sharing our stories and our spirits inside, right?" shouted Claire, her enthusiasm pouring back into the fray as she rallied others. "Move your feet. Let us all head toward the barn." As they began moving, Henry felt a strong hand on his back. He turned to see Lisa, her determination shining through the rain. "Let us go," she urged, pulling him along. Together they pushed through, rallying families and friends toward the safety of the barn. The storm might threaten them, but the promise of connection was stronger. When they reached the barn, the doors creaked open, welcoming them into a space filled with the sweet scent of hay and the warmth of kinship. Lanterns hung from beams overhead, casting soft glows that felt almost magical, especially against the darkened backdrop of the storm outside. The echoes of laughter and joy immediately enveloped them as they spilled in. "See, we made it together," Henry said, a glimmer of hope igniting within him. Families crowded the barn, excited faces illuminated by low lights, a tapestry of shared resilience sewn together in the chaos. "Let us keep this going," Lisa urged, her voice vibrant and clear, just as thunder rumbled overhead. "We've fought the storm outside. Now let us fight for our stories in here." With everyone gathered, Henry took a deep breath, emerging as their guiding light amid the storm's chaos. "Let us continue where we left off under the tent," he began passionately. "Let us share more stories. Let us turn this barn into our own sanctuary, a reminder of the strength we share as a community." The crowd responded with energy. It began slowly, one by one, voices lifted in harmony. Laughter erupted alongside touching tales of struggles met with triumph, of laughter echoing through the darkest days. The storm outside became merely a backdrop to the vibrant tapestry of voices interweaving in resilience. Henry lost track of time as moments turned into memories, ignited by vulnerability and connection. When a quiet murmur emerged, attention turned to Mr. Thompson again this time. His voice bore the weight of both sorrow and hope. "My wife used to love this storm," he confessed, looking directly at Henry with grateful eyes. "She said storms cleanse the air. I can see that idea now. I've been stuck, fearing change for too long. But moments like this remind me how much brighter the community shines when we face storms together." Applause swept through the barn, and Henry felt tears prick at his eyes. This was their truth. The connection he fought for had transcended any fears he carried for his family, blending individual stories into a powerful echo of unity. As the storm began to quiet outside, the barn enveloped them in warmth and laughter, an embrace of all they dreamed for Maplewood. And just as hope soared, Henry turned to Lisa with a knowing smile, his heart swelling. Alongside the burning fervor in his chest, he sensed a blossoming understanding growing in her eyes. They were truly a team, bound together by love and the resilience of their community. "We did this," he whispered, feeling the triumph wash over him, the laughter echoing like a sweet melody. "Yes," she nodded, her confidence growing along with their collective spirit. "And we'll continue, no matter what storms await us." With renewed determination, Henry faced the barn and saw the collection of voices, stories, and dreams gathered in that space. It was vibrant, chaotic, but at its core, held the essence of what Maplewood stood for: togetherness. As the final drops of rain tapped lightly against the barn roof, he knew they had not just weathered a storm, they had sparked a transformation. This was the moment to seize, to cherish, and even to celebrate amidst the chaos. And deep within, he knew they would face whatever came next together, with hearts intertwined and spirits soaring. Now, right at this moment, you need to subscribe immediately to this channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed that algorithm and show your support for these heartwarming journeys. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear from every single one of you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformative journey. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us keep the spirit of community alive.